All right, so this is day two. Like I just said, there is no news today. Well, we already missed the one news there was, so we might have a flat day. So it could be kind of brief on the recording. If so, I'll just kill the recording and we'll take a look at some TA trades. Uh, but other than that, let's go through the 1 minute charts, and first thing we're gonna do with the 1 minute charts before we even get going is we're gonna take a look at them and decide what we should be trading. Should we be using trading axis or should we be scalping? So on this one, we had the trend, and now it's kind of flat. So, in my opinion, let's take a look at it on the 5 minute. If I could click the right thing. Let me move a couple things so that it's out of the way. Here's cable on the 5 minute. 1 minute's flat, 5 minutes flat. So, what are our options here? Sit and wait. It's holding on a monthly pivot, it looks like. It's just kind of bounced down to a monthly pivot and sitting there. So there really isn't too much to do on cable. Let's take a look at euro. Here's the euro. We have a definite downtrend, but remember, US Open just hit, so what are we not doing? We're not touching anything. Let the US Open filter through. Nope, Roman. No tradey right now. US Open's just kicking in. Remember yesterday I took a trade on the US Open, and what happened? We got our asses handed to us on it. So we want to wait. What happens a lot of times is sentiment changes. So let's say as the U.S. market kicks into full strength, because we were in pre-trading up till now. The bell just rang in the U.S. 5 minutes ago. So we want to wait and let the bell filter out. This is my time when I come in and I look at my charts, decide, kind of get my game plan going for the day. I'm going to go look at news, which we already did. There's nothing on news for the day. Next, I'm going to get my scripts up. I'm going to set my take profit stop loss. I'm going to go through this chart, and I'm going to go through the trading axis chart. This is just your calm time before the storm, I guess you want to say. Take your time to review your charts. Pre-trading prep is one of the biggest things that's going to keep you out of trouble because it's I don't know, it sets the tone for the day, I guess. If you just jump in and you're in a hurry, you're going to be rushed. You're going to miss maybe that there's news or there's a big speech going on, and you're going to be trading, wondering why shit isn't working. And then when you go trade news, you notice that Yellen, the little troll doll, is speaking while you're trying to trade, or Draghi speaking. So you want to be prepared for each day. You just don't want to jump in and start trading. You take a little bit of time in the morning. I take 30 minutes because 9 o'clock is when I start. So I have a whole 30 minutes to go through. I go to Forex Factory like I mentioned. I'll show you again since this is just basically a little bit of a review before we get going. Now, if there's no news on Forex Factory, there is... Come on. There it is. Sorry, I'm impatient today. What did I do? Okay, so there's what I'm looking at is there was news USD prices. So we saw that it was not that big of a change, down 0.02%. So we don't expect a huge weakening of the US market. But what we can do is come down here and see if there's anything that catches your eyes. Sometimes there'll be, I guess you could say, world news that might affect thing. This section also. And all news most commented. Look through there and see if there's something that catches your eye. Sometimes there's world events in there that aren't on this because it's just an economic calendar. It's the same crap month after month after month. There's a few quarterly reports that get tossed in. But take your time, read through and look. See if there's anything in there that might be affecting the U.S. Like, for instance, this news wasn't too bad, but you see USD tanking like crazy for some reason. Go through and look and see if you can find out why here. Might be something there, and if not, go to another one, like another source of news, and we'll cover some other news sources tomorrow. But again, pre-trading prep so you can gives you an idea of what you may expect out of the market. Typically, what's on the news and what's happening on the market are two different things, but at least sometimes it gives you a heads up. So it's important to get the pre-trading prep in there. Okay, so next is AUD USD. AUD USD looks like it was in, and let me zoom out one. So you see, okay, so I'm going to mark something and y'all tell me what you would be trading. This whole area here, what should you be doing? Do we have a strong cloud predominant in any of that section? The slow cloud. Do we have it in here anywhere? we're getting the medium cloud and the fast channel, but we don't have a slow cloud in there. So what that should be telling you right off the bat, it's a little bit of hint. Market's probably ranging. So where should we be? We should be on trading axis for AUD USD. Now, now we're seeing a slow cloud, medium cloud, fast cloud here. So we might want to double check what we're doing. But it's flat. Looks similar to cable, right? So let's take a look over on the trading axis at AUD USD. Well, let's take a look at Euro first. Euro's in a downwards trend for trading axis. Now, just a few pointers on this. Here's Euro. I'm going to show you something that on the 5-minute or on the 1-minute you could have been doing. You could have been trading this here, because we have this set up here. Now, what's the warning signs we have is that this is coming into here. So if you do not feel comfortable trading this on the 1-minute scalping, you do have an alternative, which is doing pullbacks on the 5-minute. Now, if we see one or not on the 5-minute, that depends. Sometimes we'll see it, sometimes we won't. But what we'd be looking for is value charts up top. Did it spike out anywhere when it hit confluence? Which in this case it didn't, so we have no opportunity to trade on the 5-minute here. When I say that is, it's not going to be a trading axis trade. For instance, I'll show one, but like an example of one might be, but we really don't have anything on here that we could use. This is not a good setup. It's just kind of meandering. So our only option would be to scalp on the 1-minute. On the 5-minute, there's no trading axis trades here. Reason we wouldn't be, it's riding the middle of the channel down. So we're in a downward trend. We're not ranging. So you shouldn't even be looking at this chart on trading axis right now. Trading it would be realistically stupid. I mean, look at value charts. It keeps peaking on the bottom. We're getting no top ones. What I am talking about, and we'll see if I could find just a somewhat one, is you would look, let's say this candle here, I'm going to mark it with a yellow line. You'd be looking for price to pull up and give you a overbought against the trend, because that means most likely what it's going to do is drop down. But if we look at this, let's say this one was overbought, what we'd want to do then is we look for confluence for it to continue dropping down. Now, Gert trades this style. We have here and here, if you look back, there was a swing low. What I'm telling you to mark on your other charts. See what if you start marking on the other charts, you're going to start noticing here. So we had price drop back down, it pulled back up, we're in a downwards trend, and you have an option to get back in. Right here, this would be for a scalp or for a TA trade if it was overbought, oversold, and you had confluence. If you're going to go strictly price action, that's right there. We have the daily open right there, so price hit it. If it was overbought, you could get back in for a quick sell down. That's a little bit more advanced, but it is one of your options. There are going to be days, saying this, there are going to be days where you have no trading opportunities. Like on this one, just by the TA rules, if you were doing confluence, you don't really have too much, because if we look at value charts, there's nothing overbought. If you switch into price action, you could probably pick up a couple, but that'll come in time. I don't expect y'all to know that right now or even be able to deal with it. If you look at it, one thing that could help you out here is the Bollinger Bands. I'm guessing the middle line on the Bollinger Bands was probably also riding just like that. So that might have gave you a little bit of confluence on here as a current market conditions with maybe some thing. So if things are looking crappy and you're going to decide to go with the trend trading because you can't pick up any reversals, you can always throw the middle line on the Bollinger Band on. Okay, so that covers Euro. Let's go back to AUD USD. And remember, I'm in no rush here. I still got 18 minutes until I'm even going to start looking at charts. So this is just part of your pre-trade prep that you should be doing every day. Here's AUD USD on the 1-minute. I'll just leave it on there. So we had a possibility where we show a trend forming. But remember, let me mark it. This is all US Open. I'm still waiting for it to filter out for another 15 minutes. So 15 minutes before, like 8:15, sometimes 8:20. If I'm in a good trade, I try and get in my last trade around 8:05, 8:10 at the latest. That way I can let my trade run to about 8:15, 8:20. If it gets too close to the US Open, if it's in the money at all, I will go ahead and close it. I'll take whatever profit I got before the US Open kicks in. Because on the 1 minute time frame, even if it's just a subtle downturn, we're only looking for 6 to 12 pips max. It can toss your trade out, and I've had so many trades close on me because of that. If you hoping that the US is going to turn in your direction, you could always just throw a trailing stop on it if you're far enough into the trade that trailing stop, or move your take profit up. Or just avoid trading the US Open. You see, you shouldn't, if you can avoid putting yourself in a risky situation, avoid it. It's just kind of common sense. So AUD USD 5 minutes, it looks like we had a nice range back here for trading axis. I bet when we look on the 5 minute chart, we'll be able to see this. I bet there was a warning candle and then a spike up, and then we should have known to stay out of the market. So let's take a look and see if I'm right or if I'm full of shit. Here's AUD USD. And let us turn off the scrolling and go back. This is AUD USD, right? Yeah, okay. So if we look back at this, it looks like for London's session, we had some nice ranges going on. I'm touching my screen like you can see my hand. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Nice ranges. Here was the open for Trader's Way. Here was our spike up that we were talking about. Now, when I said it had a warning candle, first, we're in a tight-ass range, so wasn't too much we could do here on the 5 minute. Sorry, I'm trying not to burp. Okay, we also had a gap in price here, which should have warned the shit out of some people. The market's just doing something weird. It might have been news. I don't know. I'm not going to try and guess. So, do we see where the warning candle is? We would not want to take the trade. I'm sorry. Here, let me hold it right here. Here's our warning candle. We always want to be watching out for these. Why is it a warning candle? Because, and let's mark it like we should be on our other ones. Just, I'm going to continue to mark things like this so that you get in the habit of doing it. On your 1 minute, it'll carry over to your 5 minute charts. You'll start seeing things. Just like there. Okay, so this is our warning candle because price closed above this high. Plus, we had a tiny little range. You should know when there's a little bit of a range that it's going to break out eventually. And that was our upward move from... That was the upward move here that we see. So let's go back to... Where am I? Yeah, the 5 minute chart. So how it's currently sitting, let's look at it. We just had a downward move and flat and down again. So let's see what that looks like on the 5 minute. Here's our flat, and this was actually the downward move. Okay, so when would we know when to get back in? If we're looking at it on the 5 minute, let's draw a couple lines. Well, here, let's move this. So what happens is a support starts forming here. Up here, we don't know what our range is. Well, we kind of do. And I'm going to draw what would have been on there. And hopefully, I'm not trying to confuse anyone. This is Fibonacci. This is our 0 to 100. And up here, what did it pop in at? At 127. So Fibonacci really didn't help on that swing at all. Because 127 is a level, but it's not... that I preach it. If you don't know about Fibonacci, I have an entire series on it called Fibonacci for Dummies. I would recommend watching it because it'll give you an insight into these moves. Because here's an A, this would be B, here down here is C, and it's not, okay, so C, I know I'm talking out my ass now. Some of y'all might not understand this at all. C did not come lower, so it's not a very good move. So we really, and I'm being honest here, we really had no idea where the top of this move was. We can look out, and we're looking at this, and look left. Zoom is off. So again, we're focusing on here to see where you guys would have known where the tops were. If we look left, there's nothing out there to tell you where that top was in recent history. If we go to the 15, maybe bring it in a little, there's nothing out there. 30, the upper green line is what we're focusing on, remember. It's not till we go back to the 30 and the 7th of April where we find a support or a resist, I'm sorry, to find where that top might be. So that's a lot of work just to find it. So let's go ahead and go back to the 5-minute. And we were focusing on where this top might be. So in order to find that top, we had to flip to the 15-minute and zoom all the way out to the 7th to figure out that that's where the top of the range might have been. That is a pain in the ass. So what we could do is, again, I drew the hell did I do with the lines? They disappeared. We can identify a support down here. The resist would start coming in, and if you'd been marking your charts, we'd get a high here. So this whole area here, we don't really have anything to trade because we don't know where that high is. Price could have just kept going and going and going. So price moves along here, we get a little trend line. What I'm trying to explain what I see on the chart, guys. You don't have to mark your charts like this. So we get a little bit of a trend, not a trend line, a freaking resist. So we marked it and we have a line, so we can see that this is starting to form something here. Something was holding price, and if we really wanted to figure it out, 15 minutes, scroll back, we see it. Price does come down to here. This might have been our first potential option for a trade because now we know we're in a range. Well, we don't know, so it might not have been scary, but we have support. I don't know what kind of confluence we had, but depending, this might have been our first setup for a trade. It wouldn't have been this, although there was a minor support right here. But it probably would not have been overbought, oversold here. It might have been, or it might not have been. Even if you were possibly got into it for some reason, it did bounce. But I'm guessing that this was our first overbought, oversold. I'm not going to use what's to the right of the charts because I really don't care what's there. I don't like looking at a chart ahead of time and saying, here's the levels. Yep, I would have taken that trade. For me, that's kind of cheating. I'm just going to show you what I see on the charts. Whether it comes true or not, don't know. But by identifying the levels, you can see how important it is to identify these levels and start noticing them because price does react to them. So let's keep going. Now, what do we have here? Anyone? What is this candle? You should be watching out for this every damn time if you're going to get into a reversal trade. And you see how I stopped right here. There's nothing really fancy going on, but I stopped. That candle is important. It's 8:51. We still got plenty of time before I have to look at live charts. Anyone on this? Why is this one important? There was your hint. Anything? It broke what? We have it marked here, so when you see a candle close higher than here, what should we be thinking? It's a warning candle that we might have a run. Now, if this was overbought, oversold like crazy, and we had a shit ton of confluence, and on a warning candle or a break of a previous high, I mean a shit ton of confluence. Don't just be jumping in these all crazy. You want a shit ton of confluence on them. Same thing here. It wasn't, I don't think anyone would have taken this because the Bollinger Bands, it's not hitting current market conditions, but I just want you to be aware of these candles, even looking back right here. Okay, we have this, so what do we have here? This was not a warning candle. It would actually be an okay one to get in. This candle right here, though, is also a warning candle, because what did it do? It closed below this support is what it became. So here's our warning candle that price might go down. And remember when I was talking, this might be our trade. What backs up the fact that this might be an okay trade? Can anyone see it? I'll move this so you can see a little clearer. What gives us a little more confidence that this isn't going to be a continuation of the run? What do we have here? And where does the candle close compared to there? So let's draw the close. And where does it close? It closes within our blue cloud, not below these. So it's, I mean, this is just a little bit of price action, guys. It shows it's not going to be 100%, but if you put all the tools, cool. Yeah, Frank, I try. Frank actually knows his shit, I think. Me and Frank haven't got to talk yet, but Frank knows his shit yet. So I think Frank knows his shit on a little bit of patterns and things. I try and keep it simple for him. I do get into that if I dumb everything down. I'm not saying that to be mean for anyone, but I try and dumb things down on him. If Frank, I definitely think you know what the hell you're doing. So just this whole little section here with trading axis, by using a little bit of common sense, Frank nailed what it was, but I honestly, Frank, just so you know, I'm not great with recognizing patterns. I'm big on support and resist, swing ho, swing ho, yeah. What's on my mind? Swing low and swing highs. Like fractals, swing ho, swing high, higher low, things like that. I find it's easier for me to explain and visually show it to him because when I try to explain a pattern, I sound like an idiot. It also keeps it a little bit simple. Yeah, so basically what we're looking at is if this was overbought, oversold, we had confluence, it didn't break the previous, we're lining up reasons. Current market conditions, I'm going to guess Bollinger Bands was broken, but it didn't break our previous support, if that makes sense to y'all. So that gives us a little bit more of an indication that it's not going to continue running. Where this candle, yep, it might drop down because our support was broken. These aren't rules set in stone. They're all things you need to put together to help you just evaluate the chart. Moving on, do we see anything else here? We had a break here, and it did turn around eventually. This would have been a lost trade if you got in it, but from what I can see, current market conditions were never made. If this went overbought, oversold, it's a doji candle, so you shouldn't have gotten into it at all. There was no entry there. So this whole section here would have been a pass. I should not have seen any trading axis trades on here. I'm going through this chart and taking my time because it's a more of a difficult one because there are trades available on this chart, but it's not in your typical pretty range that you're going to see, but it's rare you're going to see a typical pretty range. Let's get rid of lines and we're going to move on. Do we see anything now? This has been marked. What's the next thing we should have concern about? Well, I guess y'all can't show me, but so if we're watching the chart, the next candle that comes up, if this goes overbought, oversold, whatever, it's overbought, sorry, what should we be worried about again? What did it do again? It broke and closed above what you should have marked or at least visually seen right here. Now this one, if this was overbought, oversold with confluence, this might have been an issue. We might have had some people get in and take a bad trade. Not a bad trade, but if this candle here was overbought, oversold, and it had confluence on it, and people got into it, there's nothing I could say except for current market conditions might not have been met. But again, I'm not looking to the right so I can judge and use information that's there to say, yep, I would have got in that. Nope, I wouldn't, because I think just subconsciously my brain is, what's the huge move on Euro? Don't know. Might have been, we're in the U.S. Open. Maybe Apple wanted some money from freaking the Europe for selling iPhones, and they just dumped a bunch. Remember, if a bank wants money, they say money, they drop it, the price moves. So sometimes you're going to get moves with no explanation. So this was another warning candle, and then we get into a range again. We know again where the downward portion of this range might be because right here we have our support, which is actually a little bit lower, but here's our little range where we might have been able to pick up trades. God, I cannot talk today. It's a 17 pip range. Again, it takes a little bit of practice because you're going to have to notice these, but you have if we're drawing our little squares, however you want to do it, we should know that we could have been watching here because we have a backup here of support. I don't know what's over here because we're still not even caring and looking. But as the chart moved, it moved up to here. You should have been marking here. And again, if you're not marking, it's all fine. It's just I want you to get into the thought process of seeing these things. The chart bounces up and down, and if you can identify those ups and downs, it's going to help you a bit with your trading. It's going to help you a lot. So price hit here and held. I don't know if you'd want to mark it or not, but you might have wanted to notice that it held here because look what happens over here again. And if we go by here, then price down here. I don't really think we would have had any trades here, but it's just recognizing that we're in a... This is kind of recognizing that we're getting into a range. So let's look what happened here. Price dropped. Now we're into where we do have value charts. This was overbought, oversold here. We are going to look a little bit at what's here. Let me remove some things. I don't even know. Someone gave me that piece of crap and I just wanted to see it, but holy hell, it's useless. And let's remove this and close. Okay, so by TA rules, let's take a look at this candle here. It was overbought, oversold. So the first thing we want to do is check out, here's the candle. And we really don't see too much. So for institutional, not too much there to back up this trade. Current market condition wise, we had overbought, oversold, Bollinger Bands, and I don't know about the weekly high, previous high, weekly high, and daily high. I'm sorry. Again, remember these. There's no lines on these because as price hits it, it moves them. So they're really more considered current market conditions than anything. Now the previous weekly high, if you notice, does have a line on it because if price hits that, it's not going to move. It's not going to readjust itself. This one would have been a pass, though. I mean, you don't have any institutional, blah. If you're going pure price action, you might have thought it was going to drop, but nothing there to back that one up. Now, if we're looking... And here's a little problem with value charts, guys. So from this candle to... Let me just drag this one over. From this candle to this candle, we go from overbought to oversold. That's something you need to keep your eyes on too, because if in two candles we go overbought to oversold, it means you're trading on a very tight range. It's actually not that tight though. It's a 19 pip range. So you might just have big candles, but it's something to keep an eye on is how long it takes to go overbought, oversold. We had a 3 candle overbought, oversold. So keeping that in mind, if you look, so one candle skips, next candle it's oversold. Barely oversold, but some people would say, well, here's confluence, it's going to bounce back up. And you have all the support and resist here. So on my thinking, in one candle going from overbought to oversold, that's a warning for me, where if we look here from this candle to this candle, at least we had 6 candles in between. We had a 1 candle difference here. It'd be kind of a warning for me. If you got into the trade, you did have 1, 2, 3. If we look, we had 1, 2, 3 institutional. It almost hit a small round number. Current market conditions, it was overbought, but no value charts. I'm sorry, value charts was there, but it hit the Bollinger Bands. I would say if you took it at 1%, I probably wouldn't think you're crazy, but I would say keep an eye on a difference of 1 candle in value charts going from overbought to oversold. That might have been a pretty good warning for you. The next candle we get is a warning candle to watch. It's broken ranges, and then we just get kind of a mess moving down. So that's my little review for TA for the morning. It's 9 o'clock. I'm going to take a quick PP break, and we'll get to live charts and looking to see if there's any trades. If you have some questions, go ahead and type them in. Did that help out with a lot of... I had a lot of questions about pre-trading prep. Did that clear up a lot what I'm doing, hopefully? And again, if you had any questions, go ahead and put them. I'm going to take just a real quick 5-minute break, actually, so I can go piss. Okay, so we went through mark the charts. I forgot to turn on recording. We set up to take profit and stop loss. This is cable, which has some bigger moves. On the 1 minute, when you see 6 pip candles, that's kind of big moves. Normally you're going to see 2 to 3 pip candles, sometimes 4 pip candles. So we're 6 pips, 7 pip candles. So that's a little bit big. It does make trading on the 1 minute a little bit dangerous. But for now, we're going to look through. The issue I was seeing yesterday is people were placing trades without the slow moving cloud being there. And when I say that, what I mean is, for in this case, this cloud, I'm seeing a lot of people placing trades when it's this cloud, the fast moving, and they're hopping in. The slow moving cloud is to help you stay out of chop. 6 months ago when I was running it without the slow moving cloud. It was just this cloud, the medium, and the fast channel. And what would happen is I'd get stopped out a lot. So you could see this would be an example of it right here. Price would have moved up, and I would have jumped in a trade, and it would immediately drop back down. So the slow-moving cloud, guys, is there to protect you. It's going to cut out a lot of trades, but it's there to protect you to keep you out of the chop. Okay, so if you take a trade, we want to make sure that we have a slow, medium, and fast channel there first. Good. Okay. Do you want me to point out trades on this, or do we want to try and stick with live ones? I'll mark a couple real quick. So price came through. It was below the channel like we want. Let's simplify it again. Let's just leave it this way so you can get used to candles. Okay. So we did not have a trade opportunity until here. This would have been our first one when all the clouds aligned. Now, if we look back, let's see if it would have been anything scary. So we were coming off of looks like, let me zoom out. We were coming off a move up to a move down, and then a move down again. Let's zoom in real quick, turn off the scroll, and let's look back at what we would have needed marked on this. So we would have had it marked here to be aware that price might get held up there, which we can see it did get held up a little bit. So let's just measure down. That's only about a 5.7 pip move, so we might want to have waited till price broke through here, which would have put us in a nasty big candle. And like I've said yesterday, I'm not too big on trading candles that are out of whack with what we currently see. So far you might have been able to get in here, and it would have closed out quickly if you did. We wouldn't have been able to see this candle, but we would have been able to see this. So one of two things could have happened here. We could have, I don't know what the average candle size was here. That's 5, 2, 4. So it looks like we had 5 pip candles through this whole area, it looks like. You could have done one of two things, and it would have been dangerous either way. You could have just passed on this trade because it was here, or you could have set up your take profit stop loss at about 10 and then drug your take profit into the bottom of this to be safe. Now, if you did it with, it looks like it would have been about a 10 to 14 pip take here, probably a 10 to 12 pip take. You could have got into it and it would have cleared out easy, but you would have been ignoring the fact that that was there. So this is why I don't like looking back, because so much shit comes into it. I prefer to do it real time. If we follow it along, it starts getting into the channel, so we should not have been touching anything there. It pops out of the channel, but our cloud by then is very small. Now the cloud starts growing again here, but we're still riding channel here. Again, see, this is hard for me to say whether I would have gotten in here because I can see this, so it's already affecting my decision. I can say over here, now we're following it again. This is our first trade opportunity right here. Let's mark it. But with these bigger candles, it's a little bit scary. Like, that's a 12 pip candle right here. Our entry candle is a 12 pip candle. So we would be looking at about a 14 pip stop loss, which would put us up here. And let's see if we get 14 out of it. Yeah, it moves about 32 down. Looking back, I hate doing it because I can say, yeah, that was a great trade. I most likely would have jumped in here. Here I would have been hesitant, or I would have decreased the take profit size. Right now we're in the channel, so we shouldn't even be looking at it. Let's move to Euro real quick. Move this. Euro, we're in the channel, so we have nothing here. Again, see, we're looking back. I don't know if I would have taken this yet. So I'm not even going to mark this one because I hate the looking back thing because I can make it as I mean my brain's affected by what I see. So okay, so here, and are we already too late? Here's our first drop. I'm gonna go ahead and we didn't do stop loss and take profit, so let's take our time. We have 3, 3, and 2. Those 3.5, so 6. We'll say a. Let's go with 7. That's gonna be tight. Adjust. Remember, I'm trying to do this right. I don't want to jump into a trade, so it goes 70. Now, what are our warnings? We're in here, so we're in the channel, and it came out. Our slow cloud's growing. It was growing, shrinking, and now it looks like it's growing again. So let's go ahead and take it and see what happens. 7 pips is down here. Where's my stop loss? Did I forget to put it? I put stop loss at 75. Shit. God, I'm an idiot. We're good if you do a mistake like that. Remember, you're good because if price spikes up, you already have your trailing stop in there. Let's correct that. So if you fuck up and let's say you don't notice that your trailing stop or your stop loss isn't there, you have a trailing stop loss. It's probably going to hit you kind of hard in your account, so hopefully you do notice it, but it's not going to kill you. Okay, so what are our options if we get in a bad trade and recognize it? Let's do a little bit of review. We get in a bad trade. Oh shit, I made a bad decision. What do we do with the trade? This will give me a chance to breathe and get water. Remember, real life trading, we might do it different and close it, but what are use? Does the trailing stop work automatically? Yes. If price hits the rainbow, it closes the trade. One of the things a few of you noticed, which means you're totally, and to put it blunt, 30-point trailing stop. Correct. That's a 3-pip trailing if you screw up. So a few things that y'all did yesterday that I noticed. I had people saying as soon as they opened a trade, it closed. That means you placed a trade above the rainbow. So that means you put a sell above the rainbow. What happens then is the EA closes your trade. It's like stupid. You were completely in the wrong, and it closes it. So that's for a few of you that asks, that's what happened. I'm not saying you're in here now or you're watching the recording later, but you all know who you are. So to be clear, if you placed a trade in this area, for instance, and you took a sell, and it closes the trade, it's telling you, hey, dummy, you're just doing it wrong. Just so we know, because I had 3 people do it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and let that one run. Let's move along. UJ, mess. Not messing with it. What can we talk about UJ? Riding in here. I don't know if I would have gotten in this one or not. Again, because it closed higher than here. I probably might have jumped in. Let's see what would have happened. It pops 11 pips. We're at 3, 4, and 3. Most likely that would have been okay. I'm not going to say for sure. I don't want to speculate whether that would have been a good trade or not. Again, that candle was kind of big, which makes me hesitant. We don't want to trade the abnormal. We want to trade the normal. Cable still riding in the channel. Nothing to do. Now, if it breaks out of the channel, what are we looking at? Anything? Would anyone take a trade if this breaks out of the channel in one candle? This type of price action, remember, we have these big candles, so I'd be worried that the big candles aren't going to continue, for one, because we're consolidating. So what's going to happen as it's consolidating, if it does do a breakout, it might not have as much momentum, and we might not hit our take profit. Right now, I mean, if you're looking at it, it doesn't seem like it's that far, but that is 14 pips. So for cable right now, I'd be cautious and leave it alone. But we can see, look, we had it riding, and then a drop. This would be, instead of jumping on the first candle, I might wait for a confirmed candle, and it would depend on the candle sizes. If we get matching candle sizes coming down out of that, I'd be okay with it. If we get one big spike candle out of that, I would probably stay away from it. But instead of the first candle that qualifies, I would probably wait and see if it does form a pattern coming out of it. And when I say pattern, it is consistently sized candles closing outside of the channel. I wouldn't jump in my first big candle that pops out of it, because that would warn me. That would, for me, make me a little bit leery that it's going to reverse back. And again, this isn't anything I can show you. I'm just trying to teach you what goes through my head for trades. This is Euro in the channel moving up, so nothing there. This is our AUD USD trade, and it's not performing so great yet. It's hitting the channel. Right now, there's no news, so this might be a little bit boring. Most likely, is what I'll do is we'll keep looking at them to about 10 o'clock. But if it keeps continuing that there's nothing, then because right now we still have a trend, but we might be getting a range to move over to TA. And here, I'll open up my TA chart again, just in case we need it. I'm trying to focus on this week and not a lot of TA, but hey, we'll do what you do what you got, because let's make it realistic. Yeah, you can see the pins are below. What that tells you, when we don't have big candles, but a pin, each candle, like if you're in a 5-minute candle, your bars kind of tell you what's happening inside the wicks. They tell you what's happening inside the candle. On a 1 minute, you have no way of looking into it. So let's look at AUD USD on the 5. Oops. This is AUD USD on the 5. This is the little consolidation section we're seeing. So we can see it broke through a daily FIBO and previous daily high. It's moving down. The Bollinger Bands aren't there, but it's hitting a little bit of the hourly FIBO. We don't really have, let me move the shift, see. We don't really have too much else. I mean, you got a big round number down here and here. So if it doesn't get a weird price movement, I could see it still dropping. So again, we did everything we could on this one to basically get it on the right side of it. But if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. That's what I was preaching about yesterday. You just need to let the trade run. There's no reason for us to throw a trailing stop on this one. It's not performing like we thought, but let it do its job and see if it does drop, because on the 5-minute we're not seeing anything to block it. It might, there was a, we can mark it just so it's there, but it's a little tiny one. If price comes back down and closes below that, I bet we hit our take profit. Cable's tight as shit too. And if we look at it on the 5-minute, see, it's just like the market's kind of died out right now. So what's your job? Sit and wait. I mean, really, that is your job. Sit and wait. When you're trading in this shit and forcing it, so here's what I was talking about, a weird move. And we lost out on it. It's no big deal. No, I don't trade anything like that, because you'll see moves like that a lot. No exotics and no minors when I'm on the 1 minute. I stick to majors only, because you get too many. Like, that candle's out of the ordinary. Wouldn't have seen it coming out of nowhere. So am I upset? No. Everything we did said this was an okay trade. Even on the 5-minute, it said it was an okay trade. Now that this happened, though, that means for most of the charts, we want to sit and wait. Look, cable's doing the same thing. Euro is already moving up, consolidated. We want to kind of sit and wait. We don't want to force getting into another trade right now. Because if we trade after a move like that, we don't know if something's going on in the market or not. It's sit and wait. And that's, for some people, that's going to be kind of hard, because you're just itching to pull the trigger a lot. I might make another cup of coffee while this little weirdness moves. Now, can we see anything? You'll have to excuse me for a sec. I'm going to do something. This is the 1 minute chart. Can we see anything odd going on? These are all pretty consistently the same size. Did something odd just happen on the market that gives us reason to pause? And this is no indicators, no nothing. You should be able to spot. This was all about consistently the same size candles. We got in our trade somewhere over here. Price moved up, and then it shot up. And now what about these candle sizes? They're totally not matching what we see over here, really. We might have this one that kind of matches, but we're not seeing it. And is it following this pattern of a stair step? Is it going... And that's a big stair, but down. Completely broke. Here was a resist. It broke up that and pulled back down. The market is not acting like it was previously. These candles here show it, so we need to chill out and watch what's going on. There's no reason to get upset about a lost trade. What happened there is, and let's do exactly what we talked about yesterday. Did we get in a good trade? From what we saw at the time, yes. So what just happened to us? The market moved against us. There's no reason to be upset. If you can say you did a good trade, then deal with it. It's the market. And like I said, you're going to see weird spikes. Whether you're on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 15, it doesn't matter. The market is going to move, and it's going to move against you sometimes. If it would have spiked down, no one would have been bitching. Everyone would have been like, fuck yeah, that was a good trade. But it didn't. It spiked up against us, so oh well. But that's kind of the mentality you also need to get. You can't get upset over your trades. As long as you're doing everything you need to do and placing good trades, it'll take care of itself. Now, if I missed news or I missed an announcement and I took that trade right before news, that would have been my fault. But I, in particular, don't see any reason to be upset about that one. Remember, if I forgot that one of the indicators I gave you was from the marketplace, the orders indicator. So remember, you need to get that from the marketplace. So we're at 3, 3, and 4. We can go with 9. I'm gonna go with 9, which is a tight again. You notice I prefer to have tight take profits and stop losses. That's just me. If you feel more comfortable with 10, do 10. If 8 I wouldn't go with. That 8 would be extremely tight. And right now with these candles out of whack with everything else, I'm just, again, not trading. But we can make sure our charts are set up right still. Instead of staring at the chart, let's move on to the next one. We're no take profit and stop loss set. So first, let's catch up on marking. What do we have on there? And we got 3.8, 3.7, and 4, so that's 8, 9 is a tight, or 10 if you want to give it a little more. Let's do 10 on this one, for those of you who like to give it a little more. Inlines, bump it up to 10. Okay, so with inlines at 10, I don't care what equal, did I put, God, I'm a retard. I put 1. 100. Okay, this is not a qualified trade first. But let's talk about what's the issue if this was a qualified trade, and what are the things that we could do. 10 pips puts us where? Right here for the take profit. So what's the issue if we got into a trade right here? If it was qualified. This is not qualified. Let me repeat that. This is not a good trade. All we have is the slow. We don't have the medium showing, and the fast channels just coming out of the slow. But if we took a trade here, what are we looking at that could be a problem with hitting take profit? I love yawning. So let's say this was our entry. Price is going to go, go, go. And what do we hit here? So what would we do is adjust our take profit and stop loss. We're on the good side of this, so I can go ahead and show it actual live. Again, bad trade, but let's do take profit 10. It's slightly above, so it's going to open the trade. What do we immediately want to do is grab our take profit, and I freaking got a line on it. Let's see if I can drag it before it closes, and move it down to where it's see this? This is our take profit. Move it down to where it's acceptable and adjust your stop loss accordingly. We want it to at least be 2 and 1. Yeah, the highs there might stop it from hitting. I'm teaching it real conservative, but that's what we do. That was, again, this was not a qualified trade. I just wanted to show what happens live. If I hit buy, you can just grab your take profit line and drag it. Yesterday I was trying to show that, but the EA was stopping me because everything was in the wrong way for me to show it. So that's all you have to do is simply drag. You can see it visually. Here's all our closes lined up, so we know if price hits that, it might have some issues busting through. So let's just say if price hits it, that closes your trade. Pretty simple. So even though that wasn't a good trade, hopefully you saw. If not, watch the recording. I had a white line in the way. I'll try next time not to. Let's see if we can find another one. Nope, wrong side. Might possibly, if it comes down, we could do it. Okay, so again, here's our area, and here's our trade. So I'm going to hit sell, and hopefully I can get it before it closes. Take profits in, so you just simply take your profit and move it to where it's safe. If it's below that and you want to leave it there, you think it's going to go, great. But again, I'm trying to teach you conservative, and it's going to close when it hits the rainbow here. Everyone got it? What to do? You can adjust your take profit and stop loss. If you don't want to figure it out here, you can open the trade and then manually move it to exactly where you want it to hit. But just remember to bring in your stop loss to match, because we want at least a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio. We'll get into risk-reward ratio later on a little bit more. Right now I'm teaching 1-to-1 because I don't want to overload everyone. But 1-to-1 is the bare minimum you ever want. And I prefer a 2-to-1. On the 1 minute, it's hard to get a 2-to-1. I will say that. That's the only thing that's a problem. If you switch to the 5 minute, it's a little bit easier to get a better risk-reward ratio. But that's for later on down the line. Right now, I just want to get the basics in so we can teach. UJ, again, still nothing. Nothing. Oh, I have chart scroll off. I was like, what the hell? Make sure it's on all of them. So we really right now don't have anything. Hopefully we covered enough stuff for this video to be worth it. It's kind of flat. Let's go look at the TA charts real quick and see if we see anything. Even on TA, look at the tiny little candles. So what's reflected on the 1 minute is reflecting on the 5 minute, as in we can't trade. We don't have an option either way today. So what should you be doing? Sitting on your ass, unless you trade the higher time frames. Like I trade 15 minute and 1 hour. I haven't looked at them yet. As soon as I'm done, I'm gonna. Actually, I might not. I have a slight hangover, and I got a rule against trading when I have one. Wasn't really expecting to have one, but so nothing here. AUD, USD. We're seeing a lack of structure, basically, even on the 5 minute. UJ, it's not quite there for me, like in structure-wise. What I was talking about a bounce, I mean, it's possible right there because we had daily 5/100, but still, it's just not that solid for me. So for me today, I guess they knew I was going to drink last night because they're blessing me with not much to do. But you can see how the 1 minute's kind of reflecting what's happening on the 5 minute. The 1 minute, we're a mess. Remember, when you're in the clouds, it's like turbulence when you're in an airplane. We don't want to trade in the clouds. We want to stay out, and we want them to be good setups. London looks like it would have been fine for trending, but for right now for the US, it's ucky. I know that's a real professional word. Ucky is my description of the charts today. So is what we'll do. I know we covered some things. We covered the news indicator, how to get it in there. Pre-trading prep, which is needed whether you're trading scalping or trading access, was covered. I didn't get the trades I wanted today because the market's just not there, and I'm not going to just shoot off trades for the hell of it. But it's good, hopefully, that you're part of being successful. This is recognizing the market conditions. So hopefully today's lesson for the day will be then that it's shitty market conditions. Not what I was planning on teaching, but you got to deal with whatever the freaking market gives you. So let's take a look real quick before we wind this up then, because right now I'm not seeing anything. And we're going to do it again tomorrow. So let's take a look at the news for tomorrow. Load up. There we go. So tomorrow, which will be the 13th, is heavy on news. So it's definitely going to be an interesting day. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 3 high impact and a medium impact at 7:30. I'll be dropping my daughter off right then, so I don't have to worry about it. 8:30 is crap, and then 9 is CAD with a little lightweight on USD. 9:30 though, crude oil. So if you trade in oil, you might be able to scratch something out there. 10:15 is press conference. That shouldn't affect, depending on what they say, but it shouldn't affect US too much. So basically, we're going to get a 7:30 spike that should give the market a direction. I like to see news at like one interval a bunch because it will give the market a direction for a bit, and you can then get into some decent trend trades. Oh shit, I shut the I shut my own channel down on my side so I can't see chat. Give me a sec. Yeah, I'm doing so good today. I opened up Forex Factory and closed the chat. Oh well. Okay, so before I stop the recording, do we have any questions or anything about today? Do we see why both on Trading Axis and on the scalping right now we don't have very good market conditions? If we don't have any questions, I'm going to wind it up. I'm going to watch the charts for the next hour, but with the market conditions being the way they are, I'd just be sitting here blogging about nothing. I think we did get some stuff covered today, like the news, pre-trading prep, which needed to be covered anyway, and crappy market conditions got covered. Again, tomorrow looks like around 7:30 we're going to see a spike, and the market's going to have some direction. So I would expect it to trend. We'll see if it does. You never get what you expect out of the market, though. There's some days when there's no news. Yeah, I don't want to sit here and... I hate showing trades that could have been, because you never know. I did like that AUD USD one because it showed how we got in it perfect, but then we had a weird market movement. So that, for us, was a sit and wait, and as we're sitting and waiting, it looks like crap. So... I mean, like I said, the lesson for today is learning when not to trade. You have to be able to recognize market conditions and when not to trade. Now, for me, since I trade 15-minute and 1 hour, when we're done, I'll bump up to that and see if there's anything. But if there's nothing there, I'm not going to trade. Or I might just take a nap. I don't know, because... But, again, the idea is recognize the market conditions. If they're not favorable, don't mess with it. I see a lot of y'all like, and this is your own choice, because I've seen days with bank holidays that markets look freaking awesome. For me, if it's a bank holiday, I take the day off. After you've been doing this a while, you're gonna make any freaking excuse you can up to take a day off, and it's what it is. It becomes a job. It's not fun. I like trading. I have a passion for trading, but I wouldn't consider it fun. I have fun teaching y'all, but I don't have fun trading, if that makes sense. Probably one of the only reasons I still do it is because, I mean, I have fun teaching y'all. I like it when I see y'all succeed. I love hearing about people when they get their little light bulb moment and be like, hey, I finally get this shit. But other than that, this is a job for me. And is it for some of you that I know have been doing it for a while, it's a job for you too.
but having people to chat with, teach, deal with helps it out a bit. So if we have no questions, that pretty much sums it up for the day. We are going to do it again tomorrow. Like I said, with the news, I expect we at least can get some trends. And we'll, if not, if it's flat, we'll do a TA. Hopefully, it won't be as flat as it is today, because right now I don't see options on either one. And that pretty much sums it up, guys. Thanks for coming. Sorry it wasn't a little more exciting, but we did get some topics covered that needed to be covered. If it was cutting out on you, I did record it, so make sure you grab it there.